Hello, friends and YouTube viewers. Um, I have a problem, and I thought that you guys might like to see how to solve it. Um, in the previous videos, I've told you how much I've hated the double neck pegs that hides inside those rubbery upper torsos for certain Hot Toys figures. And I went back and I checked on Mr. Reeves, and it's really bad. And when I took his head out, it's really loose. And I figured what the problem was. It's nothing here. It's cracked inside. So again, it's this lip that's kind of the cup holding in this ball joint has once again cracked. Now, this will give me a chance to pull him apart and show you his actual frankin body that I made, at the same time as showing you how I can just easily swap pieces. Now, for the guys who've never taken him apart, it's fairly simple. The cape is sewn on the outer edges within the suit here, and you would actually have to use a blade or a de-threading tool used for seamstresses to get that thread out. It's not much, it's just like 3 loops and you're pulled out. So I did not sew that back in because I don't have red thread. So that'll have to wait for another time. It's got the clips, like the buttons on here and here. These are actually bigger than they are here. These are minuscule and plastic. I don't like pulling them apart because it's plastic and it will bend the teeth that pop into the little socket. So what I do is I will either use tweezers or a screwdriver. I'll go in between the both, pinch it, and twist one way so that it loosens and pops out itself. Now, show you, I don't know how well you can see that, and I'm sorry about the picture quality, but just can't afford a good camera right now. There you go. That is the best way possible if you do not want to break this plastic button. I know many people who have broken it, especially on the Scarecrow figure. So yeah, this is the Franken body without the cape on. Now you have the zipper. If you're going to take apart the whole suit, you will have to take apart the belt. And the belt, where the buckle is, on one side, it's lightly glued, and it has a sort of a button notation on one side, and you'll actually have to slowly pry it out. You will rip it if you screw around too hard with it, so stay away from that. You will have to glue it back on if when you do take it apart. So I gently slide these clothes over to reveal his. I'm just gonna take off his fists. Mind you, his bottom half, the hips and legs, they are of the original Christopher Reeve's body, and this is the upper torso, the chest of Odin, and these are true type advanced hands, arms, and that's what gives him the definition. Really, when I took the rubber piece off, you can put it back on and glue it from the seam. But I knew I was going to get back in here one day, so I did not glue it back. And luckily I didn't, because here I am taking it apart again. I'm not quite sure whose midsection that is. It could be Nolan, it could be Bane, or it could be Odin. Okay, so, as I have suspected, this is a very stiff one, friends. Now, there's the crack, and there's the piece that came out of that crack. Oh, I'm sorry. So, telling you, it's always that damn lip. Don't like these. Don't like them. Alright, so what we're going to do is replace this piece. Given that this is way tight, I'm just going to replace this whole piece, since it's a little more maneuverable. I might want to get in there with a little bit of lubrication. Just so that this doesn't happen again. Well, there are many types of lubrication. You have WD-40, which can, over a long period of time, eat away at the plastic. But then there are lubrications that don't eat away on plastic. I don't remember what type of lubrication that is, but I do use that for my airsoft pistols and rifles, which is pretty good because it keeps those gears clean. Sorry. So just a little bit. You don't need a lot. You just want it to get in the crevice of that tiny little circle. Alright, here we go. Now, I'm going to I'm not even going to unscrew it all the way because you really don't have to. I'm just going to loosen the top half. Loosen lightly the bottom half so that I have a little bit to work with. That's why. Wrong screwdriver, Brian. Alright. Forgot which sockets which. They're not the same sockets. The socket that goes into the head is bigger and wider than the socket that goes into the body. There you go. Two different sizes. Be sure to pick the correct one. See, it's loose here because that we haven't tightened it yet. But once we do, it will be great. I generally don't like to over tighten because over time you will maybe want to go back and do something else to it. So here's that mod. New neck, no floppy head. I will have to take that ball out since it's already on this one. And best friend. Now, please be careful if you do not want to ruin the head sculpt. Either the edges, you don't want to get in there and then use part of the sculpt as leverage. So, but there kind of isn't that much you can do about that. So I use my thumb. So I place it over one of the edges. I tilt the ball all the way to the other side, and I go at it at the tip. And I use my thumb as leverage to pop it out, but it's not working. You can just heat it up, friends. You can just heat it up. There you go. Instead of using my thumb, I use my index as leverage. I generally don't like to waste time with the whole boiling water situation. I'm just lazy. You don't have to be that lazy if you really care about your toys. It's just that I am. I really care about my toys too, but it's been a long day. I had work today. I have school today, which I should be getting ready for. So here we have back together. Now with such a tight fitting suit, I won't have to worry about the lip flailing open. You see, from this flailing open. Just put it the way it normally was, and when I put the suit on, it'll hold it in place. So what I like to do is putting the head back on. I don't like to push all the way in. Oh, one thing I did mod with this torso, the inner torso. I'd hate to take it apart, but I guess I'll have to. This piece did not, the bane, the upper torso, did not really move forward much. It actually just came up to here and back. Mostly it went back, but it wouldn't, you know, from the torso wise, the chest wouldn't bend forward much. So what I had to do was on the inner side of that and a little bit from over here on the bottom torso, I grinded it down with a Dremel kit. Don't know if you can see that. If you took it apart, you'll see where it actually contacts and stops it from pivoting forward. Now you can see a little bit of the roughness from me dremeling it, but I had to take quite a bit out in that hole. Now it used to be this upper part used to be high, and pretty high in fact, because him standing like this originally, this part would actually go all the way in and you wouldn't even be able to see this gap. So I did have to grind this down pretty low, and now you see there's actually a really big gap. But knowing that this upper rubber piece goes on top does not affect it. So he has a lot more articulation, for, you know, hunching forward. You also have the waist, which hunches forward from the hips, so you can have even more. I love that fact. I love doing that. So, friends, this was the Franken body. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to put him back together. I don't know if you want to watch it, but hey, what the hell? I will. And you can see him. Well, I won't put the cape on. I'll just put his jumpsuit on. And seriously, the original body, if you were to see his torso, it has no definition. It was just two massive pecs and a round, kind of barrel-like lower torso. But this one actually had. It took a few attempts at mixing different parts of the bodies uh, in order to get what I have now. I took a lot of sacrifices of other bodies in order to get this, but it was definitely worth it because now I have the Christopher Reeves Superman body I've always wanted. This was the body I'd always imagined him to have. Even though, in the movie it wasn't. He kind of wasn't that big or defined. But they made him seem that way. So, boys and girls, this has been my fix for my figure. Now that you've seen me do my own fixes, it'll prompt you to do your own. Have fun, guys. See you on the flip side.